Alright, so today we needed to get water, so we hiked down into the canyon, got water, and then we hiked it back over here to camp. And I thought while we were here it'd be a good opportunity to show you in the daytime kind of our camp setup and a couple of different shelter options that we're running completely different for the most part. Anyway, Adam is running a Kuyu Mountain Star shelter, and it's just a small tent. We'll take a quick look at it without invading his privacy too much. Kind of a look inside. You can see that. All right, and then we actually are set up on at the actual trail, and it's one of the few flat spots that we could find. In fact, Adam is sitting up in the flat spot. When I was here a couple weeks ago, I knew that flat spots were going to be limited, so I made the decision that I was going to bring my my hammock and tarp set up. Give me a few more options here on a sloping terrain. So I want to show you just kind of one pitch with the tarp and the hammock, and we'll go through real quick what we've got here. So I've just got the hammock, as you can see, run. It's just a single person ultralight Yukon hammock, not real expensive. I've got it set up with some outdoor vital gear, suspension system that I bought for this trip. And then the tarp is kind of set up, I don't know what you call it, but kind of sloped at one end. The thermals are coming downhill in the evenings when I'm sleeping, so I set it up to block off the wind from that side. And then I wanted it kind of open, kind of to have a little porch area and extra room, so I went ahead and set it up open. Now on this side, you can see my initial setup, I had both my trekking poles that I used to just open it up. And then I've got those tied off, this one to a tree, the other one I had to a ground stake. And then, sorry I slipped. Since I'm using my trekking poles, I went and found a stick that I could get a little more elevation on. Any rain that comes in will give it a slope to come off of. You can see I've just got it wrapped over kind of a limb there, and then staked back down to a ground stake, and then just kind of a tensioning knot to kind of hold it in place. Now what I've been doing is when we're leaving in the morning, just because the thermals change and sometimes we get some high wind, is I'll drop the stick right here and then go ahead and pull that edge down to the ground. And in fact, our first night we had a rainstorm that moved in right after we went to bed, and so I dropped both the poles and just staked it down to the ground and just made basically an A-frame shelter for protection on both sides, and just slept that way. But I prefer, when possible, to have it open. As you can see, I've got plenty of room underneath here. I got typically have my boots and my Crocs set up there, maybe my phone and the Garmin inReach set up within easy reach. Typically I just stick those in my boots. Over here I've got my pack that I pack in the bow, and the gear that I'm going to take out hunting with me the next morning. And then I've got kind of some, let me lighten it up here, just some of the extra gear that I might need, just sleep type gear that I've set up. And the way it slopes is I can actually very easily reach that, and then I can sit down in the mornings and put my boots on, have a little seat when when we ate lunch a second ago, or if we eat breakfast. All right, so within the hammock, I've got my outdoor vital gear 15-degree Loft-Tech quilt. Under that, for a under quilt, I'm using the old wind hard quilt that I used to have as a top quilt, and I've kind of got it modified. I had to do some modification to use it as a under quilt, and actually after this trip that'll probably be one of the gear items that I add to my additions list is a true under quilt. You can see I kind of got that one held up just with some tape to ridge line. I just made a ridge line across the top, that way I can put a headlamp up there. That's my kind of a backup headlamp, camp headlamp, whatever you want to call it, and just reach up in the night if I need some light. It bounces off the tarp for a little additional illumination. And then you can see I've got use it also kind of as a clothesline to dry out or air out my socks, underwear, whatever the case may be. So alright, so this afternoon we're going to go hike up the mountain, and we're actually going to spike out from here, and I'm going to grab the tarp and sleeping bag and quilt, and we're going to go up the mountain and probably camp up there tonight. And so I'll show different configuration and just illustrate the versatility of a square tarp in that. So we'll revisit that when we get up there. We're going to sleep under a rock. We've got a big rock face right here. Thermal should be coming down tonight, so that'll provide us protection from the wind. We're going to wedge our tarp. There's really nowhere to set. This is such a steep rock that there's really no way to anchor a tarp there. But what we're going to do is we're going to wedge it in with our poles and then probably bring it down and anchor one side to the ground, maybe create an awning just so we'll have an opening, airflow, that kind of thing. So we're going to attempt it and see what it looks like when we're finished. So this is our shelter for tonight. As you can see, we've got the tarp set up against a rock face. The thermals will be coming down this way, so we're protected by the rock. It actually goes up underneath there, probably 3 or 4 feet. And then we've got the tarp kind of angled down. We've got it stuck up against the rock from underneath with a couple of trekking poles. We used a couple of sticks on either corner to get a little more, to keep it taut. And then we came up and give us a little bit of an awning, and then we came up with a center trekking pole, and hopefully that'll get us through the night in style, if not in comfort. So as you can see, this is kind of the underneath of the rock ledge. We've got a nice flat grassy spot right there, and we're just going to go head to head right there. Got a nice little sunset coming up. Tent, awning. So I'll get some better pictures from inside here. That's kind of what we're looking at all the way around. Alright, here we are in our cave for the night. We climbed up, back up to the top of it, about 11,775, and took some night shots, night photography. I don't know if we got anything good. The clouds kind of messed us up, but anyway, it was a fun time up there. So now we're back in and hunker down underneath the rock shelter. We'll see y'all in the morning. Alright, so here we are back at our shelter. Just a quick rundown on how it went. The rock face provided us nice shelter from the wind. Did get a little bit cold last night sleeping on the ground, especially with a quilt. We slept directly on the ground. No sleeping pad. Got a little bit chilly, but not too bad. Wasn't exactly comfortable sleeping. I'm a side sleeper, and so trying to sleep on my side, my hips and my knees, I was kind of a little bit cramped where I was. We just have that one little 2-foot shelf that we were both laying horizontally on, and the rest of it pretty steep slope. So, but otherwise it worked well, and just again demonstrates the versatility of a tarp, especially for an unplanned spike camp. So I'm a huge fan of the tarp. Alright, after 6 nights of being suspended from a hammock and 1 night sleeping under a rock, we came down and we have a little bit of flat ground. So I'm going to go ahead and set up in a alternate tarp tent configuration tonight. And several people have asked me about it. My buddy Gerard had asked me to show it to him. So I'm going to go ahead and set that up now. I'll speed up through it and explain it to you later. There's several good videos on YouTube. Forester Bushcraft has one. Several different videos on how to set this up, but just want to go ahead and show you kind of what it looks like. Alright, so apparently I ran out of battery at some point along the way, but here's the tarp tent configuration. We'll walk around it real quick. See just a basic kind of tarp tent. I've got it tied up in the back just to add a little additional room. Got a pole, trekking pole that I'm using to hold it up, and I've got it staked down to the ground. Right there, I got a rock just so we don't stub our toes on it. And then inside, I've got a Tyvek ground cloth and an Outdoorsman Lab sleeping pad, my Outdoor Vitals quilt, Sea to Summit pillow, and then you can see room for all my gear, and then some. Plenty of room front, back, in the side. Protection from the wind I set up with the back towards where the direction of the wind's going to be coming. We'll be facing out towards the river, creek, so have a nice sound tonight. And there you have it, just another pitch of the tarp. Super versatile square tarp.